is Tracy Scott, and I'll be your host today. Welcome to the final episode of our media regulation case study. Over the last few weeks, we've broken down the film industry using two major case studies, the Goliath, Universal Pictures, and the David, A24. Today, we're answering the biggest questions of all. Is media regulation actually effective in the modern digital age? To begin, my argument is that the traditional film content regulation, like the MPA rating system, is becoming largely ineffective in the face of two modern pressures: the overwhelming power of big studios and the chaos of the internet. Let's start with our Goliath, Universal Pictures. Universal is owned by massive conglomerates like Comcast and NBC Universal. According to Coran and Seaton's theory, concentrated ownership leads to generic, safe content, and our evidence supports this. Universal's massive success comes from safe, broad appeal blockbusters like the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Universal's goal is to maximize profit, and they self-censor to ensure a marketable, high-revenue rating like PG-13. The MPA rating board doesn't have to work hard to regulate Universal because Universal is already regulating itself for the box office. Now, for part 2, this is where our David A24 flips the script. A24 is an artist-driven, focusing on unique, niche content like Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. They actually take creative risks. This leads us to the regulators' struggle as defined by Livingstone and Lunt, the balance between protecting the audience from harm and granting them choice. For Universal, the regulators' job is a choice challenge, ensuring there's competition against their market dominance. But for A24, the challenge is very much about protection because their content pushes boundaries. My case study, the horror film Talk to Me, is a perfect example. It was rated R, but it nearly faced an even more restrictive NC-17 rating due to a scene that was reportedly highly disturbing. This shows A24 is forcing the MPA to enforce its more stringent rules, a boundary-pushing approach Universal would almost never risk because of the financial stakes. Backtrack. But the biggest threat to regulation isn't the content, it's the internet. Firstly, Dan Gilmour's idea of we the media is redefining marketing. Using generated content hurts Universal. A single viral critique of a big movie can damage its reputation and box office. But UGC benefits A24 immensely. Fan edits, crucial video ideas, and aesthetic posts create free, authentic marketing that drives buzz for niche films. Secondly, the internet makes traditional geographic regulation impossible. My analysis found two huge disadvantages of UGC: piracy and content bypassing classification. Once a film is online, every country's different rating system, the MPA, for example, versus the UK's BBFC, for example, becomes subjective and almost unenforceable. The Talk to Me case study gives us the most shocking evidence of the global chaos. The film was banned entirely in Kuwait, not because of the R-rated violence or language, but because of the political identity of one of its actors, Zoe Tarax. This proves that regulation isn't just about protecting viewers from gore anymore. It's a powerful political tool used by governments for ideological reasons that have nothing to do with the actual movie content. So, to conclude, is film regulation effective? I argue that the system is ineffective at content control. This is because of small-scale risk takers like A24 and the global, uncontrollable nature of the internet and UGC. However, regulation remains highly effective as a political weapon, for example, the Kuwait ban, and as a commercial guide. The R rating didn't deter the audience. In fact, the film's success was $92 million revenue over a $4.5 million budget. This shows that audiences crave the high-risk content that A24 is uniquely positioned to deliver. For me, as someone looking to go into filmmaking, this confirms that creativity and risk, when backed by an authentic digital community, are the new powerful forces far outweighing the old school influence of the rating board. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive into media regulation. Be sure to check out my full blog post on this topic. Thanks. Have a good day.